Hi everyone, today's video is focusing on spinal and hip mobility. Now in this video I'm going to be giving you a number of options that will allow you to choose your own level that you want to exert yourself to. Please do not push through any discomfort, so these exercises should not cause any hip or spine pain. So do let me know if you do get any discomfort and I will slightly adapt these exercises to suit you. So we're going to start off just with some nice swings through the spine. So keeping your body nice and relaxed and let your arms hang by your sides. Now of course, if you get shoulder pain, just keep your arms quite close to your body and focus on twisting through your spine. However, if your shoulders are lovely and don't cause you any grief, then you can start to take your arms out a little wider to your sides and really allow the momentum to carry your shoulders a little bit further into that twist. So twisting from side to side. Now we're going to go into a little bit of side bending. So starting off with a nice distance between your feet, and we're going to be bending over towards the right to begin with. So I'm going to have my right hand down by my side, my left arm is going to reach right up overhead, and I'm going to look at that arm while my right hand slides down the side of my body, and then I'm going to come all the way back up. So I'm going to repeat that side a few times to get a really nice side bend through my body. So you'll see here my legs are both staying straight, my knees are not locked, but I'm really focusing on not bending forward. So you'll see here, while I'm stretching over to the side, I'm trying to completely bend as if I'm between two little panes of glass. So no backwards bending and no forwards bending, completely to the side, while my other hand slides down the side of my body. So reaching that arm right up towards the ceiling, and I like to look up at those fingertips as I go into my side bend. So looking up towards the ceiling and then coming all the way back down. We'll now go over to the other side. So now this hand is going to stay by my side while this arm reaches up overhead and I slide down as far as I can comfortably get to. So remember, you do not have to force yourself to go deeper into the bend. Just move within your comfortable level. We are trying to focus on thoracic side bending or side flexion. So with this, we really want to retain our ability to side bend because it can really improve our back in general in terms of mobility and strength, but also we want to avoid or losing completely our thoracic flexion to the side. So we'll do two more here, really reaching our arm up towards the ceiling as the other arm slides down the side of our body. And let's do one more here. You might feel a nice little stretch along the side of your body. Beautiful work. Okay, keeping your feet a good distance apart. Now I'm going to do this movement with my hands behind my head. Of course, if you get discomfort with your hands up in this position, you can absolutely cross your hands over your chest and hold on to opposite shoulders. I will be demonstrating from this position though. From here, we're going to be working on this leg to begin with. So what I'm going to do is go into one twist through the spine, and then I'm going to go into one side bend through the spine. So this is level one. One little twist through the spine and one little side bend, much like before, but we're going to bring a little bit more warmth into the side of our body. Now, if you would like a little bit of a progression, what we're going to do is we're going to add in a little knee drive. So as I'm twisting my body to the side, I'm going to bring one leg up into the air, and then I'm going to go into a nice side bend through the upper body. So twist and rotate, and it can be nice and quick. Of course, if you want to test your balance a little more, try and hold it for a little longer. So you'll see I'm keeping my feet much wider than hip distance apart, twist and knee drive, and then into a side bend. So really focusing on getting some warmth through the body. So I'm starting to feel my core switching on a little bit more because we're using all of our spinal stabilizers for which the core contributes significantly. So twist and then one side bend, and twist and rotate and one side bend. We're going to do two more here. So I'm really looking towards the side of the room and then side bend, and we'll do one more here. Almost as if I'm bringing my elbow towards my opposite knee. Now we'll go over to the other side. So you can start nice and gently. You can do a twist to the side and then a side bend to the side, or you can come and join me right away. We'll go twist and rotate into a nice long side bend. So we're going to twist and rotate and then into a nice long side bend. twist and rotate. So this is so wonderful if you've been doing a little bit less activity than usual, because we totally do not take our spine through its full range of motion when we're spending more time in a sedentary way. So one side bend and twist and rotate. We'll do 2 more here. Little side bend, keeping our body square to the opposite side of the room as if we're standing in between 2 panes of glass. And let's do 1 more for good luck. So we'll do 1 last side bend and 1 twist and rotate. Fantastic work. Probably feeling a little bit warmer through your midsection now. Now we're going to bring some movement into the hips. Of course, I'm going to give you lots of lovely options for this one because the progressions can be quite challenging, especially if you haven't moved through your hips for a little while. I'm taking my feet a really nice distance apart now. Now, I don't want you to be as wide as you can possibly go because that might feel like too much of a stretch through your inner thighs or adducted muscles. So I'm going to go about a nice step as if I take my feet hip distance apart and take 1 step a little wider. I'm going to turn my toes outwards and make sure that my knees are tracking over my 2nd and 3rd toes. So don't let those knees collapse in. Try and spiral them outwards slightly. Now the movement is going to be 1 little plie squat, which is a squat just like this, so getting our hips back behind us, into a little tap around behind the other foot. Straight back into the wide squat position, little plie squat, and then tap around behind the other leg. So it's simply a little squat, knee spiral outwards, and then tap behind the other foot. Step back into the wide position, little squat back. Now, one thing that I really want to make sure that you've got the hang of before you take on any progressions is that you are poking your bottom out with the squat. So side on, you're not bringing your knees forward. I really want you to make sure that you are keeping your chest proud and all you are doing is poking your bottom back behind you and knees are softly bending into the movement. They are not the primary mover. So remember, you are getting your bottom back behind you while maintaining a really proud chest. You're coming up and then tapping your foot behind the other, around and behind, into a little squat position, and then tap the other foot around, back and behind. That is level 1. Level 2, if you would like more of a challenge, is going into a little bit of a curtsy lunge. So still nice wide stance, sitting back into that little squat, and then round and behind into a nice long lunge. Into a nice wide squat position, around and behind into a little bit of a deeper lunge. Now take this as deeply as you want to. So don't push yourself to go right down to the ground. I want you to just challenge your balance here and challenge your little stabilizing glute. So you should feel the bottom of the front leg when you go into your curtsy lunge. So come and join me when you're ready, whether you're taking on option number 1, nice and light, not going into a deep lunge, just going around into a little tap behind you, or you can come and join me for a more challenging option, into a nice long curtsy lunge. So wide stance, into a curtsy lunge. Wide stance squat, into a curtsy lunge. We're going to go here for about 20 more seconds, getting some nice warmth through the body and taking our hips through a range that they probably have not been familiar with for a little while. Wide stance squat and around behind into a little curtsy lunge or a tap. Nice wide squat and around and behind into a tap or lunge. Let's go for 1 more on each side. And you might notice your heart rate coming up a little bit too, and that is fine because you are using all of your major muscle groups. Beautiful work. Okay, hips should be feeling really lovely and warm now. We're now going to go into a side leg lift. Now this challenges our balance as well, so take this nice and gently to begin with, and if you need, use a little wall nearby to hold on to, but do make sure that you're standing nice and tall and not leaning towards your wall. From here, if you would like to challenge your balance, you can either hold on to opposite shoulders or hold on to hips, which is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start now moving this leg here, so I'm going to bring my leg out to the side and then return it back down. Now the real challenge here is not completely leaning over the other side of your body. So I want you to try and stay stacked as best you can. It is difficult to do that completely, so I don't mind a little lean. However, I want you to be using your little stabilizing glute to keep you upright. So we're going to stay here for about 30 seconds, taking this leg here out to the side and returning it back in. Now remember, if you need to, you can take the leg out to the side and then rest the foot back down on the ground every single time if you need to. That is completely fine. However, to really challenge your balance, try not to return that foot back to the ground. We're going to go for about 5 to 10 more seconds here, making sure that the stabilizing knee is bent and not moving all over the place. And let's do one more here. Squeeze that little leg out to the side and then return. We're now going over to the other side. Now you might be completely different on the other side, so make sure that you set yourself up well. You want to soften the standing leg, and then we're going to bring the other leg out to the side and return it back in. So nice single leg lifts out to the side, and try to test your balance a little bit too. Check in with this little standing leg every now and again and make sure that that knee is softened and not locked, and make sure that your body is hanging from a piece of string from the ceiling and you're not leaning over towards the side. Let's go for about 10 more seconds here. Squeeze and lower. Fantastic work. Woo! And let's go 3. Good work. And 2. And last one here, beautiful work. Okay, hips should be feeling warm, so we're going to combine glutes with spinal rotation now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself up in a side-on position so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to take my back leg here, so the one towards the back of the room, into a long step back behind me. Now, everyone is different with their level of balance, so do not push yourself here to go a really long way backwards. What I'm going to do, actually I'll tilt it down slightly so you can see me a fraction better. I am going to take a gentle step backwards first of all, just so you can see a slightly easier option. Now what I'm going to do here is bring my hands up behind my head. You are more than welcome, of course, to have your hands across your chest. And what I'm going to do is go into an ever so slight lunge. So all you are going to do is poke the bottom out slightly and come down a little and twist and rotate. Then return to center and come back up. Tiny little lunge movement, twist and rotate, return to center and come back up. Now, of course, if your balance is a little bit iffy and you don't like twisting and rotating while being in that lunge position, you can hold on to a surface next to you and just look over the shoulder with a little rotation and come back up. So remember, there are always options. So this is level 1, nice and light, only a tiny little step. Option number 2, if you would like more of a challenge, is take that back leg back even further. So now I'm in this long lunge position. You'll see that my front knee is positioned over the top of my ankle and my back heel is lifted off the ground. So you're not striving to have your foot flat. You do want your toes tracking straight ahead. From here, my hands are going to go behind my head or across my chest, and I'm going to sink down into a nice deep lunge, twist and rotate towards the front of the room, return to center and come back up. Sinking down into a lunge, remembering that about 80% of the weight should be through the front leg. So really poke your bottom out and lean forwards ever so slightly into the movement, and you should feel a bit of a twist through your spine as you go into the rotation. Let's go for 4, twist and rotate, return to center and come back up, and 3, fantastic, feeling nice and toasty, and 2, twist and rotate, return to center, come back up, and let's do one last one here. Sinking down, twist and rotate, return to center, and come back up. Beautiful. Let's do the other side. So now my other leg is going to be forwards, and I'm going to take a nice long step back behind me. Now remember, take your option that suits you best. So if you need to, just take a tiny little step. It doesn't need to be significant because you can still keep the weight through the front leg and go into that little semi-squat to get this glute firing and the quad firing as well. I'm going to take a slightly more challenging option and have my leg a long way back behind me. Hands behind head, and then I'm going to sink down into a little lunge position to begin with, and then I'm going to twist and rotate towards the leg that's at the front, return to center, and come back up. Sinking down, weight through the heel of the front leg, knee is tracking over the second and third toes. Now, you might notice that your rotation is much better on one side compared to the other. So that's why I love doing single leg exercises or asymmetrical exercises so that we can really work on balancing ourselves out. Remember, no one is perfectly designed so that they are completely symmetrical on each side, but we do these movements so that we can be the best version of ourselves. So we work with what we've got. Let's do 3 more on this side. Sink down, twist and rotate. I'm getting toasty. And 2, sinking down, twist and rotate, close and lift. And let's do one more here. Sink down, twist and rotate, return to center, and then come all the way back up. Fantastic. Last movement, we're going to do a little bit of a plyo push-up against the wall. Now, you are more than welcome to do these on the floor, but I find them incredibly difficult to jump away from the floor. So I'm going to take the option of using the wall here. Just make sure you've got nice clean hands, which you probably all do. Nicely sanitized, so we're not going to make any marks on the wall. I'm going to start with my hands just below shoulder height and just wider than shoulders. Feet are going to be just wider than hip distance as well to give us a nice stable base. Now, if you want a nice light option, come nice and close to the wall. About 30 centimeters away from the wall would be the easiest option. More of a challenge is feet a little further back behind you so that your body is like a nice plank of wood and your hands should always still be just below the line of the shoulders. Now I'm going to go here into one wall push-up and then a little spring away. So we're focusing on upper body power here. So take it gently, don't slam yourself into the wall. You want to control the landing and then push away. So with this movement, we're focusing on a little bit of impact work through the upper body. So we're getting a little bit of impact through our wrists. Some of us are at higher risk of osteoporosis than others. So movements like this are really good to focus on putting a little bit of impact through our little structures through our upper body. Now, we've got a little bit of a progression here. So if you would like a little bit more of a challenge, what I'm going to do here is push away and reach the arms up towards the ceiling before I come back in and land on the wall. Now, of course, if your shoulders do not allow for this, you do not have to bring in the reach up. Instead, you could do one little push up and then bring the hands down by the side and hands down by your sides. So you have got lots of options with this one. And of course, if you do not like the little spring away from the wall, you can just stand a little closer and just keep your hands on the wall at all times. But we're going to stay here for about 15 more seconds and then we'll go into a lovely stretch to finish off. We're reaching up overhead, making sure we're not arching the back. So as you reach those arms up overhead, draw your tummy into your spine and you might feel your core switching on just that little bit. Let's do 3 and 2. And last one here. Fantastic work and rest. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to do one last little stretch against the wall, focusing on spinal extension. This stretch is not for everyone, so I'm going to really encourage you to just watch me doing it first and then you can come and join in. I'm going to bring my hands up to about shoulder height and then you'll see here I'm walking my feet a little further backwards and then poking my hips right back. And here I'm lowering my chest down in below where my upper arms are. So I'll show you again. I'm starting in about a nice long reaching position. So my hips are back behind me, my chest is proud, my hands are against the wall. And then I'm going to keep my arms long and straight and I'm going to slowly lower my spine down with a proud chest. And I'm feeling a nice stretch through my mid-spine around about here. So reaching that chest down. Now, of course, if your body does not allow for that kind of movement and your shoulders do not like to move in that way, instead, you can go into a tiny little back bend. So hands on opposite shoulders, feet are hip width apart, making sure that you're not going to fall backwards. So I would do this close to a wall in case you feel like you're going to lose your balance. And I'm just going into a little back bend here, opening up through the chest, and then return back up to standing. Let's go for 3 more here. So whether your hands are on the wall or your hands are on your shoulders, the choice is yours. 2. And last one here, fantastic work. And then we're going to just move into some little circles through the upper body. So everyone coming away from the wall now. And then I'm going to just move myself in nice little circles, doing a nice little spinal twist and rotation, making sure that you're breathing really nicely. So I'm moving in a nice anti-clockwise direction for 1 more. And then I'm going to change directions one last time. Nice little spiral through the spine. Don't move too quickly up into a standing position. And last one here. Beautiful work. Thank you all for joining me and I'll be sending out another mobility video soon. Have a lovely rest of your weekend.